Oh, Canada. It's the Canadian Grand Prix
And you don't know the
with
lyrics.
me and Matt and Tom. Da da da.
That's the intro. That's how it's all going to start. Um,
Yep.
so as we were saying in the intro, the Canadian Grand Prix definitely happened. I say in the intro, in the pre-show.
I need to turn the light on.
Lucy's already abandoning us because she can never be set up properly on time. We always aim to start at 7:30, and we never do because Lucy is with us. So, as you can see, we've got our friend Tom with us. Tom, do you want to just tell us a bit about your background in Formula One and how you got interested in the sport?
Where do I even start? I mean, I'm quite lucky enough to say, as Lucy knows, like I've been watching Formula One for at least, well, over 20 years at this point, and like some of my very earliest memories of Formula One is Michael Schumacher in a Ferrari, and to be fair, I don't think it can really get much better than, can it? Really, like, I'm just trying to think who would have been on the grid at that point.
What year was it?
Shit.
It was between like 2000 and 2004.
Right as I was being born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Just amazing.
similar time frame to me because I remember watching Murray Walker on BBC One and like the old school BBC graphics, but I couldn't tell you much about the racing.
Likewise. But like another thing that just sticks in my head with back then is the black and white West McLaren, the McLaren Mercedes, I want to say.
Yes. Well,
I think, and if I'm remembering right, Kimi Raikkonen was driving one of those cars at that point.
Yeah, it was him and Coulthard, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because then I know afterwards he went obviously to. No, he didn't go to Red Bull straight away, did he? Because Scott Speed was one of the early drivers in Red Bull.
Yes, Red Bull didn't come until like 06 or something like that.
Yeah, it was after Jaguar folded, didn't they?
Yeah.
Today's a bit of a full circle moment for me and Tom because this is a really fun one. We actually met on Twitch.
Oh my god, yeah, we did.
So
now that you mention that,
crazy.
And I know this is just a complete throwaway thing, but I am no longer. I'm banned from said stream that we met in.
Wow.
Have been for ages.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Basically, we met in a Twitch chat. Was it? I think someone mentioned F1. We got yapping. Lo and behold,
I'm pretty sure it was a music stream during the pandemic, and then
it was definitely during the pandemic. And yeah, it was. Yeah. I don't even watch random streamers most of the time. It was absolute chance. I think I was just sick of my playlist because I'd been in lockdown for however long. So I thought, let me just tune into some Twitch DJ. Listening to the tunes, saw an F1 fan in the chat.
That's
rest is history.
We are like moths to flames when you see another F1 fan.
Yeah.
So,
there we go. That's our full circle moment.
Shall we get on to the actual race weekend?
We shall.
Because I am already starting to cook. For anybody who's not in the UK, it is currently a heat wave. It is getting on for 10 to 8. It's like 30 something degrees outside, and I'm in a small office with the door closed and full of electronics. It's 25 in here and climbing. So
I don't know what it is in here.
Luckily,
I don't want to know.
Luckily, we've got a little portable aircon unit, so I've managed to bring the temperature down somewhat comfortably. But let's get started. For those playing along or who haven't joined us before, we do what we normally do. We're going to open up the official Formula One YouTube channel and fire up the race highlights. And this weekend was a sprint, so we've got the sprint highlights to look at first, and then we'll go on and look at the actual race as well.
Completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yep.
the chaos that was the race kind of overshadowed the sprint that was. It was a bit of a
This
nothing
is where
sprint.
my bit of a controversial take is, because I don't think it was that much of an entertaining race apart from Mercedes, who I think eventually are going to have another 2016 on their hands if they're not careful.
I said
Are you
that.
talking about the sprint or the main race?
The main
When
The
race.
you
main
say
race.
main
Yeah.
race.
Yeah,
Um,
main race.
So
Okay, I'm going to quickly talk about the sprint if you don't mind me
yeah,
jumping
like I
in.
say, we'll get to the main race. Let's do the sprint first.
So I actually really enjoyed the sprint. I think I had to miss second half for whatever. No, I did watch it. I can't really remember. Whatever. But the main thing that I remember was the Mercedes fight. It was really the first time we'd seen them kind of go toe to toe on the track properly. And
Well,
I don't know, like the Mercedes, I can see why they're kind of called the Silver Arrows now, because it genuinely felt like a sword fight. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like they were actually sparring on the track. Like, genuinely, the sound of the cars and the flashes of silver, all that came to my mind was sword fight. And I was like, oh my god, I cannot wait to share the sword fight on the podcast.
yeah.
We sat there during the race lap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was an interesting weekend before we even got to the start of the sprint, because this is the first time we'd got the McLarens somewhere near the front again. Both of them.
McLaren.
Yeah, because it was
McLaren.
2x2. So Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, which all three of them are being the outrunners. But I think this was the first time we'd seen McLaren properly on pace above Ferrari. So
yeah,
we'll roll the start. Nothing really happened into the first corner. Everybody sort of shuffled around and did what they normally do, and everyone went 2x2. And the problem I have with the sprint is everybody knows that after the sprint they've got about an hour or so, and then they've got to go and do qualifying.
Yeah.
So I think
safe.
there's a lot of playing it safe. There's a lot of holding back. There's a lot of not making moves where they normally would if it was a normal race.
Got a question. Now that you say that, do you think it's worth F1 swapping qualifying and the sprint and have quali first and then the sprint? I know it's a bit more
100%.
confusing, but like surely that would fix a lot of the errors, especially if you've qualified badly for the main race. You know the sprint is your only chance to get points. You might go a little bit balls to the wall.
Yeah,
so it is.
potentially, because that's the whole. I think isn't that how they do F2?
Yeah, I feel like I mean, all of F2's quali is, I think, done in one session. I think they have a practice and then a qualifying.
Yeah,
and the qualifying and then it's reverse grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of know that when the sprint is happening, you already know the starting order for the main race.
I thought,
to be honest, it doesn't hurt it.
No.
I don't know. It's hard to find a balance. I still don't think the sprints bring anything to the table, but I also don't think they take it away, because we have had. There's been a couple of good sprints, but none of them have been real. Like, I want to go back and watch that again. Because we've discussed that every time there's a sprint on, we discuss this, and the only real good one was the Brazilian one where Hamilton stormed through the field, but that was only because he had a new engine, so he had an advantage.
Yep.
I think I'd just not have the sprint quali and reverse the whole grid for the sprint, but then that would detract from the main race, which I'd also hate. Muskhound says. The problem I
disagree.
The problem I have with reverse grids is, in case of, I think F2 and British touring cars do this, touring cars for their third race, they only reverse a portion of the grid. They don't reverse the whole thing. So if you finish
top 8 in F2,
something like that.
Yeah,
so if you finish 9th, look, like it's. You either need to reverse the entire grid, which I think would be too much chaos, or not at all.
I mean, I'd be down.
At this level, I don't think it adds anything, and especially with Formula 1 cars. It works in the likes of touring cars because they can be a bit like bumping and trading paint and everything without just writing each other off. Whereas in a Formula 1 car, you bump another car and you break something or you get a puncture.
or you launch
Yeah,
into
who
orbit.
did
Yeah.
who did that in the main race? It was on a Williams.
Yeah,
I
we'll get
think.
there. We'll get there. Let's get through the sprint because we're on the tangent already. So
But yeah,
yeah.
there's
yeah.
Speaking of
let's-
touring cars, I was very happy with the podium this weekend. I think it was this weekend, or whenever it was. It was recent.
yes, it was this weekend.
Muskhound has
Oh, it
raised a good
was.
point. Muskhound said about the back half doing test sessions instead of a race. Yeah, sprints are being used for test sessions.
Pretty much.
Was it Hadjar?
Yes, I think Hadjar had an issue.
Yeah.
And they sent him back out again. Which,
Yeah.
to be fair, if that's what's going to happen, then that's what's going to happen. So moving through, we're at 27 seconds into this video now. Hamilton's passed Piastri up to P4, I think this is. And everybody's kind of running in the order that they started. Yeah, and
I just thought the sprint race was a bit, compared to the main race at least, was just, oh, it's another sprint race happening.
Yeah,
Because like everything that's been said, I just don't think they add what I think F1 wanted them to add.
yeah, and I think, like I say, nobody takes any big risks because they know that the points are tomorrow, and they've got a qualifying session to do. I think it would be a different proposition if we had the sprint and then qualifying was the following day. I think people would push a bit harder because they've then got overnight to fix the car if they've been it. But equally, nobody's taking any risks. So yeah. Rolling on, you've got the backfield, Mac markers all fighting together at the end of the first lap. Now showing a repeat of the start when nobody overtook anyone other than Hamilton. I can't think of any other overtakes. Oh yeah, Hulkenberg ran across the grass. Yeah, and then
a few people did that over the weekend.
So the highlights then skip to lap 5, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about the way this went. It did the opening lap and then skipped to lap 5, which is where we first. So this is the first time we're seeing the two Mercedes drivers go at it, because we've seen it previously, but it's where one's been faster than the other, or somebody's got a problem or something like that. Lap 5, coincidentally, is when Hadjar started having engine issues and had to pit. I think this is the first thing we're going to have to talk about, because I think this is where Antonelli tried to pass Russell the first time. Yeah, because he's right on him going down the pit straight. So we're 2 minutes 20 into this video now. I think. Yeah, there we go. How do you see this, where Antonelli went off and across the grass?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my reaction too.
Yeah, those sound effects that we just made.
Like I said before, I think, I just get the feeling this is what Papaya rules should have been last season with McLaren. Actually letting them race, letting them do it sensibly. I used the word sensibly loosely this time around with Mercedes because, but I think it's difficult because you want to let them race. We've seen they can race, but, we've seen it with Max. When you race angry, you make more mistakes than you would if you weren't.
Yeah.
And, like I said before, I think if Mercedes aren't careful, we're going to have another 2016 on our hands again, where
10
they're
years
not
later.
being sensible.
Yeah, exactly. Almost.
They're not being sensible with it. And, was it Barcelona where Nico was pushing and pushing to the point where Lewis was in the wall? I can see that happening. I thought it was going to happen.
I said that during the race. I think if you look back at our Discord chat on Lucy's Discord.
By the way, chat, join the Discord. You can talk about the race with us during the race.
So I said in live chat, it's going to end in tears. I think this was more on the main race, but I think both times did Toto step in, or was it just the main race? I don't remember.
I
think it
think
might have
it
just
was
been the rain.
just the main
I think it
race.
was the main race, yeah.
But my opinion of this particular incident, I think Antonelli wasn't entitled to any room. I think he wasn't quite far enough ahead, and then Russell was entitled to use the racing line and push Antonelli off out wide, as he did. That's just textbook racing. I think in this instance, Antonelli lacks a little bit of experience in the fact that he should have known Russell was going to do that, and then basically done the old cutback and tried to get him into turn 3.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I really. Oh.
There you go. You're good.
No, I was just going to say, obviously, with what I said, it could be a 2016 all over again. I really hope I'm wrong because, they're both equally as good as each other.
Yeah.
I'm a bit biased towards Kimi because I very much like Kimi over George. I've never been a massive fan of George, even, in his early days with Williams, when he podiumed in Spa, was great, a British driver on the podium and whatever else. But I think if you're gonna act like a child, this is just my opinion. If you're gonna act like a child, you're gonna start crashing.
Yeah.
And I think, obviously, I know this is more main race, but the fact, I can't remember what lap it was either, but the fact Kimi had to brake so hard he almost crashed himself because of George.
We'll get there.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah,
it's a matter of time before it just, ends in tears.
I mean, Muscat's
I will say on...
Muscat's pointing out the fact that there's a driver's title on the line, so it's going to be hard to keep them in check.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, if you fire one of your drivers because they don't keep themselves in check, they'll keep themselves in check. That's how it works. There's get-out clauses in these contracts. The contracts are not watertight.
No.
Yeah.
I think we'll find that out with a certain Dutch driver in the not so distant future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to talk about what we were saying about the George Russell maturity. I don't know if maturity is the word, like the cool head that sometimes disappears. I think I can name maybe 3 incidents now. I don't know if incident is the right word, but 3 different things that have shown that sometimes the heat of the moment does get to him and he's not got that same resilience that another driver might have. Which might be a problem. And I'm not going to say Kimi doesn't have this as well, because I mean, we've seen him being kind of nervous as well. Yeah. But yeah, on Russell's side, we had obviously the kind of infamous situation with Bottas at Imola.
Yeah.
If we remember that, for those who don't
remember. That's when he flipped, right?
Yes,
no,
they came together on... Oh, no, not flipped.
No, I remember.
I
remember.
Flipped out.
Yeah. He was trying to, if I remember correctly, he was trying to unlap himself. And Bottas didn't see him coming. Something like that.
Yeah, and then they came together. It was, hit a patch of grass. It was wet. Things happen. And, obviously tons of adrenaline going through you when you've just crashed a racing car at that speed. Like, I don't blame the guy, but I don't think it was the right thing to do, obviously. And, I think to some he definitely lost control in that moment, and, he apologized, and I do respect him for that. But obviously it's not a good sign when a driver's getting out and literally going off to, like, bonk the other driver. So that was maybe the first incident where we saw that there are cracks in the armor.
Who was the
obviously
Ferrari
there was today's. What was the other? Oh, Singapore 24 was it? The one where Sainz was leading, and it was literally like the last lap, and George was kind of fighting for a podium. He was like pedaling along, and then straight into the wall.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a bit of a struggle to hold his nerve thing. Remember, it was like the last lap and he was straight into the wall.
Another thing that I think I'll compare this whole Kimi and George thing too. It's not there yet, but I think we will potentially have a Prost Senna Japan '89 on our hands, where they crash, like they did. And everyone's going to be finger pointing, oh, this was your fault, that was your fault. I think it needs something like that to happen for it to sort of pull off, because
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, it's Monaco. Oh, jeez. I think they need to crash for it to calm down. I know that sounds outrageous to say, but something needs to happen for it to,
They're gonna have words about this before the next race.
Yeah.
So I
The
suspect.
I
issue
hope
is
so.
everything is on the line for Russell. Like, for
Yeah.
both of them, really. They don't know if they're going to get another chance like this. Like, they've got ahead of the regulations. Nothing is promised in Formula One. But the thing with George is he has spent years in Williams driving in dead
Yeah.
last.
I
And we've seen what the guy's been through. And this whole time he's been in Formula One, even when he was in F2, he was always touted as like the boy who would be king and like next in line to Lewis Hamilton, literally waiting to take the throne. Because at that time, Mercedes were dominant, they were unstoppable. We all know the Mercedes 1-2 memes. It was like that every single race. Like
Yeah.
it was just a matter of time for George to step into that car and start winning races,
well,
championships,
how
blah, blah,
how
blah,
many
blah, blah.
times has this been
And
said about a driver though? Leclerc is the first one that springs to mind. Piastri, although
I mean,
Piastri was nearly
even
there.
Lewis himself, like
but this is
I remember when he came into McLaren. I can't remember who he replaced, but looking back and what I remember, like everyone was like, "Oh, Lewis Hamilton this, Lewis Hamilton that." I think you can say the same about Lewis to a degree, but then
But
when you've got Ron Dennis essentially on speed dial, basically saying when you're old enough, you've got to drive. Was it Ron Dennis? Someone high
Yeah.
up at McLaren at the time.
Yeah, it
I
was.
think it was Ron Dennis.
yeah.
That is such a high level of expectation on your hands.
It comes with a bunch
Petruccello,
of pressure.
wow.
Yeah, but that's what, I
100%.
wasn't actually talking about that. I was actually leading on to the fact that, well, yes, good point by the way, guys, excellent point. But also it's the fact that as soon as George, I dropped my fidget cube. As soon as George inherited this position that he's been literally waiting his whole career for, this like one spot, they lose the performance.
Yeah,
And they're
terrible car.
like top of the midfield. And you really felt for George in that moment.
Yeah.
Because like he was literally about to get his chance to,
We saw
to
this
be
a
the
little bit
boxer
with,
and to fight.
We saw this a little bit with Ricciardo at Red Bull. Because how many years were they dominant for with Vettel? And then he steps into
14, 16?
Yeah, something like that. And he stepped into the number 2 car, and that was it. Ricciardo, if I remember correctly, so Ricciardo's got a really high not opinion, reputation. He's a good driver, but he's not even reached 10 wins. It's like 8, I think. He's got 8 career wins, which is ridiculous when you think about it. But yeah, I think he had loads of podiums, but he only had 8 wins.
It's like, how like the streets will never forget this football player and that football player. He fits that perfectly because, I didn't know this. Like when I remember I was looking through like just Wikipedia pages of drivers ages ago, and I saw that he would drive for HRT, which I think then became was it Marussia after that? Regardless, back of the grid team, to then go from that to what he had, it could have been so much more, and to think that he didn't achieve more, whereas obviously Max is 4-time back-to-back, and then obviously Seb as well. It's just insane to think that the second Red Bull car curse has been going for a lot longer than I think people seem to realise.
It was broken this weekend, so for those who watch Sky, you get random Crofty stats. He pointed out that the second Red Bull car has not finished in the top 5, and this is the main race, has not finished in the top 5 for the past 46 races, I think. So the 2 of them together in the top 5. Yeah, which
That's
is insane.
crazy.
Let's get back to the actual sprint because we're 25 minutes in or so to this, and we're still on like lap 5 of the sprint.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going for 2 minutes 50 in this because they're showing a replay on board from Antonelli, and Antonelli is going to argue that he was ahead at the apex. I think that's what he said on the radio. But
He definitely was.
But so there's more to this. From the looks of it, during the onboard, he basically pulled what Verstappen's been doing all this time. Is at the apex, he wasn't on. He braked a lot later than Russell, went deeper into the corner, and I don't think he was ever making that corner anyway, regardless of whether Russell was there or not.
Which corner was it? It was the corner before
I think it's technically I think it's turn 2. But it's the first braking zone after the straight. So you do the straight, you kink to the right, and then it's that turn there. Turn to the left.
I've just found it.
So obviously it's hard to tell without seeing any of the data, blah 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 blah. But if you roll it back to, can I roll it back to the right spot? To what I would consider the apex. Yes, he's ahead. But I don't think he's ever making that corner. But equally, he's on the outside. He would expect to be pushed off the track. That's just how racing is. It's always been like that. If you go around the outside, you've got to be properly ahead by the exit of the corner, or you're getting pushed off.
But
that's it. That's textbook racing.
Like I'm a little bit biased towards Kimi because, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of George, but I think personally, Kimi's got an argument, but I think it's very reminiscent of Barcelona last year with Max and George.
There's been a few incidents like this, but like I say, I think this is just no matter what the outcome, regardless of whether it's his teammates or two different teams. I think the outcome would have been the same. The driver on the inside has corner priority. Driver on the outside is going to get pushed off, and it's a racing incident at the end of the day. I think Kimi would have had to give the place back if he'd stayed ahead, though.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I got something to say about the main race when he had to give a place back.
We'll get there. I think the discussion came up in your server, Lucy. So, skipping up to 3 minutes, I forgot this happened. But I'm not entirely sure what turn we're coming up to here. 3 minutes and 1 second. Antonelli went for an overtake on Russell and ended up in the grass ever so slightly. Had to sort of dart to avoid Russell altogether and then locked up and kept going. I think this might be 4 or 5, something like that, around there, where there's the two chicanes together. It's where Russell had his engine go in the main race. I think this is what we were talking about earlier. You know, if you drive angry, you drive slower. If you then look at the shot into the hairpin at 3 minutes and 18 seconds, Antonelli is now in P3. And that tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Because he made that mistake. He was driving angry. Tried to blame Russell for it because there's a radio message for it. And dropped down to third. Yeah. So that's how that was always going to go. So if you watch if we go back to 3:31, there's a replay. I don't think Russell moved. Looking at it.
No, I didn't think so either.
So I'm watching it back. I'm going to play it back at half speed so I can actually. Where's this? Oh, YouTube, stop moving things. Playback speed. Here we go. Half speed. There we go. So if I play it back at half speed, I think Russell took the racing line, hugged to the right, as he normally is. And you can see him. He's already moving to the left to take the racing line as Antonelli dives up the inside. I think Kimi just misjudged the closing speed. And I think that's all on Kimi there.
I think I'm defending Kimi a bit here because you could just put it down to inexperience.
But that's still his fault.
Yeah, that's still Kimi's fault.
Yeah, it's still Kimi's fault, but I just don't think he's got the racecraft that George clearly has.
Yeah, and that's
or anyone
some
on
of
that grid behind you for that matter.
some of that's down to inexperience.
Yeah.
And some of that is he's driving angry at that point in time. Um,
Yeah.
back onto the point
When
of the
was it?
sprint not having much in it. That was lap 6. The sprint then
Lap
skips to
21
lap
it got to, wasn't it?
17 after 21.
Hmm.
23, sorry. So, yeah. I don't think there's much more to say here.
I was at work,
Fingery.
so I missed most of it.
Yeah,
But
it's
I didn't miss much.
after the two Mercedes sort of had their back and forwards, everyone just kind of held station, just ran together. There wasn't really much else. And that stop at lap 17 was because one of the Williams was in the middle of the road, according to Russell.
Well, Alex hit the animal, did he not, in the sprint?
No, that was free practice.
That was
one.
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Out of anyone that could have happened to as well, easily the biggest animal ever on the grid. I was gutted for the guy.
I think it happened to Leclerc as well.
Yeah,
Don't
I
remember
went
don't remember
went
whether
and
that
looked
was the
for
sprint or
Alex's
the main
onboard
race.
when he did it. Yeah, I wish I never did. The worst thing about that was, right, because I went and looked for the onboard to see what had happened because I didn't know before I'd seen it. The thud that it made when it hit
Yeah.
was
I've
unreal.
hit a rabbit in real life before.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that it just runs out in front of you and that's it. Even if you saw
Yeah.
it when it
Yeah.
came out, you're not avoiding
Nothing
it.
can do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they make a lot of noise. We then the highlights are now skipping towards lap 22, and Antonelli is now still driving angry and trying to get past Norris. So we're at 4 minutes 58, and he goes for the same move on Norris that he did on Russell around the outside. Same thing, and he just carries way too much speed, exactly the same as he did on Russell. But I think this time he did actually carry too much speed. It was like visibly he carried way too much speed into turn 2. And that was kind of all she wrote for the sprint. Not much else happened.
And I'm
that was
gonna
into
stick
the
my neck
last
out.
lap as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna stick my neck out and say that Kimmy's gonna be world champion before George.
At this point in time, he's 43 points clear, I think.
It's
I think
impressive.
something like that. Yeah. Well, I mean, he pulled 25 points clear of the margin he already had after the main race. So,
That's the thing, the pressure on the poor guy. Like he's Italy's biggest hope in was it 50 years or something crazy?
Something like that. Yeah, it's been a while since we've had an Italian driver.
And he's still a teenager, which is absolutely insane. He's a real talent.
We had that with Verstappen when he first joined, didn't we?
Yeah. And that's Verstappen.
That's insane. So I was just looking at the driver standings. It's Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren.
Yeah, Ferrari have been on it. McLaren have struggled to get going. They seem to have got it together.
Yeah.
So we ended Russell, Norris, Antonelli, and I think that third place from Antonelli is all of his own doing. I think that he brought that on himself.
I would just agree to disagree on that one because
I
do think he would. Yeah, I do think he was ahead, and I think with how racing's been, people say, oh, racing's racing, but like, at what point do we not push people off anymore? Like, does the FIA need to change the rules to stop it? Like, what do they need to do to stop it? Because
you have to remember, though, if we go back a few years, we get to a point where everything, the definition of an overtake was regulated so hard by the FIA, Antonelli would have got a penalty for that. And it's like,
true.
Just roll it back, let them race. And then if it, in that case, for whatever reason, over the last 10 years, everyone seems to have forgotten that racing incidents are a thing. It's not necessarily anybody's fault. It's just a racing incident, and just let it go. It doesn't matter.
Is that aforementioned racing incident?
Yeah.
So was
that's my opinion.
Was Abu Dhabi 21 a racing incident, or
we're not going there?
No, I was going to say
We're
let's-
absolutely not going
I-
there. We're gonna
We're not going there.
we're gonna talk about the actual race because there's a lot to talk about in the actual race. And a lot of it
Christmas that
happened.
year was nearly ruined.
A lot of what happened in the Canadian Grand Prix happened before the race even started.
No,
So
there's 3 formation laps.
yeah, well, before that, before the triple formation laps. So I was watching the build-up, and we'd all seen the forecast, and everyone was talking about rain. It started.
Oh
what
yeah,
I
of
could
course.
I could only describe it as spitting in the pit lane. You know, it's raining. It's probably a British phrase.
Unless you're McLaren.
It's kind of
Yeah,
this hand gesture is all I can do to demonstrate.
the
It's not
type-
going like that. It's going.
It's the kind of rain where you could go out without a coat and not really get wet. But if you're out long enough, you'll get wet. So we had a mix. Now, going to the grid, Martin Brundle walked down the pit lane talking to the drivers, and they all said it was wet. Slippery, no grip. He asked me...
Wet in quotes.
In quotations from Max Verstappen, slippery when wet. Is what he
Good
said to
album
Martin
by
Brundle.
with that.
Yeah. So there was a few gamblers on intermediate tyres. I think Cadillac made the right choice. They had absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain if it rained. I think Sainz and the 2 Audis, again, nothing to lose. You may as well go for that. You've got absolutely nothing to lose. McLaren, on the other hand, what the hell were they thinking? Like, I get it. I get that they were gambling on the rain and there was a high chance of rain. I think somebody at one point said 80% chance of rain.
Yeah.
But you're in 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. You're already behind. You need as much as you can get. And you put both of your drivers on Inters. Like, I could understand mixing the strategy, but...
Yeah.
And I think both of them were questioning it onto the way to the grid as well. Piastri, especially so, he was really vocal about it.
Yeah, so this is how I'm going to get the Indy 500 mentioned here. Obviously, that's where Zach Brown was this weekend. The weekend just gone. And I know it won't ever happen in Formula One, but like with obviously IndyCar and obviously I think it's with oval races, all of them, or mainly just the 500. Like obviously they've got spotters everywhere. And like at one point during that race, it was red flag. Wow, they threw a caution. I think it was 3 times because of the rain. But obviously, American motorsports obviously different. Obviously because they've got weather rules. Well, that and obviously then they've got their own rules in terms of what they do if it rains anyway. But I've completely just lost my trail of thought.
Racing.
Oh no, that was it.
Yeah.
No, so I think the point I was making was, why can they not just put a certain member of the team somewhere and go, oh, it's raining here, but it's not raining enough, similar to what a spotter would do in IndyCar sort of thing?
That is what they do. And quite frequently they have contacts of people who live nearby or something like that, and that it comes up quite frequently, especially Ferrari in Italy, for example, because they've got their factory down the road. You can just call the factory and be like, what's the weather doing?
The way they did it in Indy was they were doing it from a pizza place in Indianapolis. What's the weather doing down such and such?
So
and it always made me laugh.
Yeah, so I think this was a bit of a it was a gamble that McLaren didn't need to take, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also we've got to remember as well, until the tyre blankets come off, nobody knows what anybody else is doing. So if everybody else had put Inters on and McLaren had put slicks on, we'd have been having exactly the same conversation, but the other way around.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. That's what they thought was the right thing to do, and wrong call. We'd have been having a completely different conversation if we just poured it down.
Yeah. We'd be like, McLaren are geniuses. That's the thing. Weather is so unpredictable.
I also said during the 3 formation laps, even if it doesn't rain, it was air temperature was like 13 degrees, and I thought,
It was
actually,
cold. It
yeah,
was cold.
I did think that might be a genius move, purely like it was in Turkey, where it wasn't wet, but it was so cold that the Inters were the right tyre. Especially when we
Aren't
were
we going
struggling
back
with
to-
tyre warm-up. Yes, we are
We're
going
going
back to
back
Turkey.
to Turkey next year.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Great track.
Okay, so
I'd
let's
rather it be Portimao, but that's just me.
let's get
You've
on
got
to
two
the actual.
yappers now.
Yeah, we need to keep
Yeah.
you on track. We need to get onto the. We've not even talked about the race yet. So the lights all come on. So we've got the first done the first formation lap. All the lights come on, and then nothing happens. It was kind of like, everyone's paused to go, and then nothing happens. You're like,
Yeah.
are we going? Is it broken? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then a few cars sort of reacted, I think, because they were expecting something, because we don't normally pause that long. And then they sent them on a second formation lap.
It was
Lindblad.
Lindblad.
So what happened, and I only know this because they talked about it, there was no replay of this. Lindblad had an issue. He couldn't select a gear, I believe. And he was sat in the car waving, like arms up in the air, waving about, because obviously it's dangerous to have a stationary car on the grid. We've seen it numerous times where everybody on the grid goes except one person, and you get a car ploughing into the back of another.
Yeah.
It never ends well, so we ended up with an aborted start. So basically what happened was, send them off for another formation lap. The marshals did their thing and moved Lindblad out of the way. The problem was, because it took them so long to get him out of the way, when they came back from their second formation lap, he was still on the grid, so they got a third formation lap. And this is all before we've even started the race. So this is already unprecedented before we even got going.
Yeah. All the meanwhile, we're still talking about McLaren's tyre gambit.
Yeah, the entire time, Piastri's on the radio going, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?"
By that point as well, for me, I was pissing myself with laughter. Not because I don't like McLaren. That's far from the case, obviously, with me being an Arab McLaren fan in Indy. But it's like, you look at these people. I'll just use Bernie Collins as an example, obviously, because I know that's what she did at Aston Martin. You've got people like that specifically, work on that sort of thing, and they get it wrong. I'm sure there's reasons as to how and why they got it wrong, but
I think they were looking at the radar and not looking out of the window. Because I think
Right.
the radar said it was going to rain, but then by the time we'd done these 3 formation laps, it hadn't rained. And then by this point, we've had 3 laps, and we're all saying, no, this is the wrong tyre. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't bring them in at the end of one of the formation laps at the start, just put slicks on at that point, just start them from the pit lane.
Yeah.
Because I don't think start pitting them under full racing speed like they did was the right call.
But it was, we
There's
laugh at
some
Ferrari.
cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Is that what they had, do we think?
Yeah, I think that's what
they were
had.
just in so deep that they were like,
there was whatever they did at that point, they were going to end up at the back of the pack. So I think they were still banking on it raining. Now, I said earlier on, and I said this at the time, it might be cold enough for these tyres to work. And we're 31 seconds in. They actually started. And I went, McLaren are geniuses. Because Norris took the lead into turn 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which was a very satisfying and good start. And how far we've come from, remember back when Lando was new to being on pole and he'd always bottle the start? Look at him now, he's taking the lead on the start.
We've got Piastri up to P5. I think he's only gained 1 place here, but he kind of got hung out to dry. Everybody else
weren't they?
Yeah, everybody else sort of shuffled themselves around. There was a few fast starters with the Inters, because I think, as we had this they were having this conversation throughout the weekend, and saying they were struggling to warm tyres up, because if I remember correctly, we've gone 1 step harder from previous years.
Sounds about right.
I think we lost the C6 tyre, and we had to then go up a step.
Yeah, because I think Crofty said last year it was either soft or medium, was last year. I'll start that again. This year's soft and or medium was last year's hard, I think it was, or
Yeah, so I
something
think
along those lines.
the way obviously the way that it works with the numbering system is I think we had C6, 5, and 4, and then this year was
I'm gonna
5, 4, and 3, something like that. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But at the end of lap 1, McLaren had already abandoned the idea of running on Inters. Now I believe they brought Piastri. Yeah, they brought Piastri in first, and left Norris out for an extra lap. And at this point, Norris is still leading, but by the end of that lap, Antonelli's already passing him. And they're like, yeah, I think at this point they were like, yeah, no, we need to change. It's not raining. I think at this point, it had stopped raining completely. So it just wasn't, the rain wasn't materializing. So at this point, we've got Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen, Leclerc. And everyone in my little friend group chat that I've got, we are very much Hamilton fans, and we were all like, Hamilton podium. It's like it's lap 3, and we're like, Hamilton podium for Ferrari. Trying not to get too excited because the old commentators curse.
Lucy knows my feelings towards Lewis. They have changed drastically since that ill-fated night in Abu Dhabi in a certain year, but
yeah,
we're not going there because we've already been at this nearly an hour and we're only on lap 6. So,
but that's always the example I'll give. I'll leave that one well enough for that now.
So, lap 6, we're at 1 minute 54 in the main race highlights. And
Max just laughing at us.
Yeah. We've got Antonelli ahead of Russell. And this is where we're getting Silver Arrow's Sword Fight Mark II. Because Russell, with his extra overtake, passes Antonelli. And I think Antonelli here makes a rookie error. I think this is a bit of a rookie mistake. So Russell goes down to the outside of the corner, passes Antonelli fairly easily with the extra overtake.
Sorry, I don't overtake. Yeah.
Yeah. So fairly straightforward of a pass. Antonelli then, as he gets on the brakes, and he's obviously wing mode. I forget what they call it. The front wing goes back into cornering mode, I think they call it. The active aero, that's the word I'm looking for. And he dives back underneath Russell, I'm assuming to take the racing line. But what he's done there is cut off all of his downforce completely. Got nothing to stop with, locked up, and nearly did a Ricciardo on Verstappen at Baku. And just ploughed straight into the back of his teammate.
The infamous Red Bull bump.
Yes. So,
one of my favourite memories is a little.
Wasn't
little
that where? Wasn't that where? Was it Webber? Did that scream on Channel 4? I think it was that.
No, that was Hamilton. That was when Hamilton went straight on.
Yeah.
So
Same track,
if I'm remembering right, and I'm glad someone brought that up because I wanted to, but I was going against it. I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's when Seb was driving for Ferrari, one of his last few seasons with Ferrari. If I'm thinking of the right thing, he said Lewis brake checked him behind the safety car, I want to say.
That sounds about right, yeah.
You know, he had a complete head loss and went...
Oh, yeah, and he bumped
and basically crashed into him.
Yeah, I remember
and I remember pissing myself. I was wetting myself with laughter when it happened.
Now you bring it up, what also happened at Baku was, I think Grosjean binned it behind the safety car and blamed Ericsson for it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I think Ericsson hit
enough tangents. Moving on. Antonelli cut the chicane.
Probably doing the same in IndyCar now.
Yeah, so Antonelli cut the chicane, remained behind Russell. And I'm not going to talk through every single incident of this because we will be here literally all night. But on lap 9, Verstappen did get past Hamilton for P3. And then we were like, no, Hamilton doesn't get the podium. But
little did we know at that point.
yeah. Yeah. At this point, we're also now turning our attention a little bit back towards Norris and Piastri, who clearly have a large pace advantage and are carving their way up through the midfield. So
Yep.
by lap 12, we've got Norris in P9, back up into the top 10 already, and Piastri up into P13. We are now back to, let's see, 2 minutes 50. Antonelli's back in the lead. Now, this was a weird thing that happened because Antonelli passed Russell at the chicane, the hairpin, sorry. But the TV broadcast didn't pick this up because I think it was watching something else beforehand. And it just came up at the top, new race leader.
Media right there. Yeah.
And this wasn't expected because that's not commonly an overtaking place, especially with the leaders. And it was all because Russell locked into the hairpin. So what are we at? 2 minutes 50 exactly. Yeah. Russell locked up into the hairpin, which is uncharacteristic, and then Antonelli just went, "Yeah, I'll have that." And then Russell came back at him down the straight, up the inside. Yeah. Antonelli just slotted in behind him, and we were as you were. And this happens a few times back and forth. And then this is where the stewards got busy, because we started getting speeding in the pit lane, red flag. We had a safety car infringements on, yeah, but the pit lane infringements, the yellow flag infringements. That's what I'm thinking about, because there was a few yellow flags and stuff that went on, and yeah.
I think Colapinto had one of them.
Hulkenberg's the only one showing at the moment. And then we cut 3 minutes 26. We cut to a shot of Piastri stationary in the pit lane, receiving a new front wing. And nobody had any idea why. We got a yellow flag on track. Nobody knew what was happening. And they worked out that Albon had stopped on track. And
they didn't show us.
No, so we're at 3 minutes 32 to get the replay. What happened was Albon was fighting with, I think this was Behrman, I want to say.
My favourite rookie driver ever.
Piastri went for the overtake, had such a greater closing speed than the pair of them because they were fighting, and just kind of ended up going really deep and got turned in on by Albon, who wasn't expecting him to come back from so far.
So who was it that had the broken wing?
Piastri.
That was dragging along the floor.
That was Pinto, I think.
Yeah.
So that was a different incident. I'm not sure. It's not been brought up on the replay. No. But yeah, Piastri kind of came in like a wrecking ball, as it were, and immediately punctured Albon's radiator. And that was all she wrote for Albon.
That's what I was trying to.
Yeah, if you watch
earlier.
Yeah, if you watch the replay, you'll see all the sort of white steam coming out of Albon's car. That's the popped radiator.
Yeah.
And that was it. I think he got it was either 10 or 20-second penalty for this. But yeah, if you watch the onboard from Piastri, you can see exactly what he was thinking. The pair of them stayed out left. He went down the inside of Behrman, and the gap in front of him just opened up. And then as quickly as it opened, Albon was in it. It closed up.
Yeah. But that's where my issue lies with motor racing these days, because you get that and nothing ever normally comes of it. But obviously, I know it did this time round. But surely, because I remember seeing it and I instantly went, that's a penalty. That has to be. And I was absolutely mind blown that the stewards took so long to recognize it, I guess.
I think some of it they were busy with other stuff. So they had a few other yellow flag infringements and other stuff they were looking at. So it's looked at in a priority level. But also Albon was no longer in the race. So it didn't really matter when Piastri got the penalty. I think if Albon had still been in the race, they'd have looked at it a bit sooner. because
Right,
obviously it
right.
impacts how Albon can get past him and all that sort of stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that impacted it. You see it quite often if one driver takes another out and the other one's out and one stays in. They look at it a bit like differently.
Yeah.
They were busy. So we're back at 3 minutes 50. We're not even halfway through this video yet. And we're starting to now. This is the point where we started looking at the Mercedes every lap. So Russell locks up into the hairpin again,
Yep.
which
It's
is
not the
now
first time he did it either.
no. This is the second time, and Antonelli gets along the outside of him at this point, and it looks like the overtake's on. They both weirdly, if you watch the video back, and I roll this back frame by frame, I think they both braked at exactly the same point.
Yeah, because like that was the point where I was like, that's where they're gonna crash.
Yeah.
If they're gonna crash anywhere, it's gonna be going down that back straight into that chicane, because it's either gonna be one's in the wall and the other's hit by the other because they've hit the wall, or you know, one of them's in the wall because the other put them there. That was the only two scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, Barcelona 2016 with Nico and Lewis, or something like that's going to happen. And it might not have happened this time round, but I think the more and more they let them race, the more and more they're going to just be less careful, I guess.
Yeah, they've got to find a medium where it doesn't end in disaster.
Precisely. Papaya rules McLaren last year was a good way to do it.
Can I interrupt?
Go for it.
I'm going to give a big shout out to my mum.
Why?
She's brought me ice cream.
I won. That's where I
won.
That's where I'm going when we're done here. So, fun fact, if you load up the video and you can skip frame by frame on YouTube, they are frame perfect. Because of the active error, you can see exactly when they start braking. They are frame perfect, braking at exactly the same spot. It's kind of funny. So I think that this is the incident you were... Oh, no, this isn't the incident. Antonelli kind of just tucked in behind Russell on this one. Yeah. And nothing happened. So lap 22 might be the incident. Russell runs wide again. And at this point, we're like, is Russell is his armor cracking here? Is he like losing out to the pressure of Antonelli chasing him, like the teenager chasing him? So Antonelli passes Russell. It was a clean pass, to be fair. He got the overtake and he was past him.
Yeah.
There was not much more to say about that. This was also lap 22, and they also start gaining on Piastri and Norris together for lapping them. Then we get Antonelli locking up into the pit lane on lap 24. Russell gets a free pass. And this is, I think, this is the point where everyone's like on the edge of their seat, like, this is going to end in tears. We're going to get Mercedes 2016 again, Barcelona 2016. Antonelli's now got the overtake, I believe, at this point. They do the same thing again. Antonelli brakes a fraction later.
Yeah, it's there.
Let me get let me get through the incident first. For those not in front of video, Antonelli brakes a fraction later. They literally go wheel to wheel. They touch. They both turn in at the same time, and Antonelli has to bail, cut across the chicane, and rejoin the circuit. In the lead by what did they cross the line at? A second, I think it is. The team came on the radio and told Antonelli to give the place back.
And that's where my annoyance came with it, because why would you have to give a place back that you didn't, gain anything from?
So,
or maybe they saw it as, because you locked up, you gained all this time.
The way that I explain this in the Discord server, Antonelli was behind, so Antonelli was the one making the overtake. So this is an important distinction. Antonelli didn't perform. He wasn't passed. He didn't pass Russell. Russell didn't force him off the track. I think he outbraked himself. It's hard to tell because there's no onboard. And then cut the chicane and gained an advantage. That's the
watching
critical bit. That's the critical
Yeah,
bit.
I'm watching it
Antonelli
back
gained an
again.
advantage by skipping the chicane completely. At the entry to the corner, or the complex of the two corners, they were side by side, and when they came out across the start-finish line, Antonelli was a second ahead. Antonelli gained a lasting advantage by cutting the chicane. That's why he has to give the place back, and that's always the way that's going to happen. If it had been the other way round, and Russell was going up the inside to pass Antonelli, and they'd have touched going into the corner, and Antonelli had gone across the chicane, he wouldn't have had to give the place back because he was already ahead when they started that sequence of corners. Essentially, Antonelli passed Russell off track.
This is why I hate this sport sometimes, because it boils down to, it all depends on where you want to pass, not where, but how you want to pass them. Because if you do it on the inside, blah blah blah, you're fine. If you don't and you do it on the outside, it's not.
That's just
doesn't
motor
make
racing.
sense to me.
That's just motor racing. That's just how it is. And Lucy's just there with her ice cream, not me.
I honestly, I would have loved to have been I don't know who governs NASCAR, but I would love to be like a steward in that sport when Kyle Busch was racing, because he was literally the epitome of, I do not care what I do as long as I win. And I can only imagine he was an absolute nightmare for stewards in NASCAR. But obviously, won't be the case anymore, sadly.
Yeah.
But
okay, right. Moving on. Before we get too sad about all of this, because I am actually melting. It's 28 degrees in here now, and it's getting warmer.
I'm not melting anymore.
No, your ice cream is.
What flavour was it?
What do you think?
You're boring normally, so vanilla.
Mint.
What's my Discord username?
Mint.
Makes sense now. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's mint.
Right, so
Of course it is.
lap 30, 5 minutes 44. We've had we're not even halfway through this race. We've had 3 formation laps. Lindblad retired on the first lap. We've had, at this point in time, the timing tree shows 1 penalty and 3 under investigations. We've had Mercedes dueling it out. One of them's cut the track already. Going into turn, I think this is 4 and 5. We've got Russell seemingly slowing down. It looked like he might have outbraked himself to cut the grass. And then he just grinds to a halt.
I did have a right smile on my face at this point.
Yeah, so I saw we were all trying to work out what happened, because it looked like he just outbraked himself. Oh, and if you watch the replay, you can see how Russell got his fine as well, by literally throwing his headrest the full length of the car.
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of is why he stopped. But obviously, a bit before that, obviously he went over the grass, didn't he? And it was very bumpy. Could have knocked electronics out.
Is there an onboard?
I'm not sure if they said.
Yeah, so there's an onboard. He's seen and there's a onboard of facing forward as well. He's driving along and he seems to lose all power, like all the lights go off and everything, and that's when he goes onto the grass. And as he's sort of bumping across the grass, as he rejoins the tarmac, which you don't get in this replay for some reason, the engine sounds like something very, very metallic is not where it should be. Broken internals we're talking about here, like catastrophic engine failure. That's what it sounds like, whether it be engine or gearbox. But Ted Kravitz did come across on the radio at one point and say Mercedes did confirm it was a power unit failure. So that's an internal combustion engine failure. And it sounded like it on the replay. I'm going to say fair play to the marshals, though, because they recovered that car under a VSC.
Yeah, it was seamless, wasn't it?
Yeah. They got out there, they pushed it back, and he was off the track. Yeah. Really
I
didn't
do
take long.
think though I do think though as well they got lucky where they were because he wasn't exactly miles away from the pit entrance, was he? Really?
He was halfway around.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not thinking where I'm at.
I think you were thinking of
Wait,
Paris.
so I thought this happened at the Wall of Champions chicane, but
No. No.
I'm about 5 corners behind.
Yeah. This was like 4 or 5, something like that. It's fairly early on in the
Yeah,
lap.
yeah.
So at this point, everybody comes in for tyres.
Yeah.
We then start watching. This is Leclerc on Hadjar start fighting out a little bit. And I think Hadjar moved late and then twice under braking got a penalty for it, if I remember correctly. Even
mean,
if Leclerc did pass him in the end anyway.
I think we can all agree Hadjar should have got a penalty for the first one, let alone the second, third, fourth, fifth, and however many times he did it after the fact.
Yeah.
Moving under braking's a big no-no. You could put that down to being a rookie, but
he's not a rookie
I
now.
think it's just based in.
Yeah.
Hadjar, he's in his.
Thinking Hadjar. I keep thinking Hadjar's Lindblad and Lindblad's Hadjar.
So Hadjar's in his second year, and he's also been racing for a very long time. You have to remember, as much as we call them rookies when they're in F1,
They know what they're doing.
They're rookies to the championship, so they know what they're doing by this point.
I mean, if you ask me, Ollie Behrman's forever rookie because
So
I don't think that he'll always look like a child.
Lap 40. We're now up to 6 minutes 41 in the YouTube video, and McLaren's day just got a bit worse because Norris retired. The higher running of the two cars. I don't think I've seen it yet.
I don't know why.
No, I'm not sure either. But this is a great day for Mercedes power units because that's two failures. And then lap 43 is when Perez's thing happened. So
Okay, I'm so sorry to. Oh my god. So you know how I was literally just talking about Ollie? He and Esteban have done Hot Ones versus.
Let's finish this.
Bad would happen.
Let's finish this first, then you can go and watch it.
Finish it quick and then off you can go.
So 6 minutes 49, lap 43. Perez comes into the pits. So the first we're seeing of this is Perez coming into his pit box with his right front hanging off, and we're all sat here like, who's he hit?
What?
The entire conversation in your Discord was who or what has he hit, and we get the replay, and he's coming into the pits, he brakes, and the wheel just falls off. And from
now it's not funny, but it was a little bit funny.
I saw something very similar happened in a Porsche Carrera Cup race, I think it was. At Spa, like this Porsche, I think it was Carrera Cup anyway. This Porsche was obviously going pretty much flat out up Radion, Eau Rouge, Radion, whichever way it is. I don't care which way it is. I'm sure someone will correct me, but literally you see like this Porsche go up a little bit of whatever the first bit is, and by the time this car's got to the top, the wheels in front of the car.
Yeah.
Because the wheels come off, and then hit the car on the back, and then bounced in front of the car, then hit like the bonnet of the car. It was ridiculous.
There was a Formula One incident. I remember quite a number of years ago, probably in the 2010s. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Buemi in a Toro Rosso, and he hit the brakes at the end of a long straight, and both front wheels just went pop, and just. Both the front suspension just collapsed, and both of them just disappeared. Kind of bizarre.
I've never seen.
But
how many times for Formula E champion is he now? Twice, 3? No,
zero.
How does he win it yet?
No,
anyway,
I'm sorry. Sebastian Buemi has.
can we stay on topic because we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
We
melting
need
in
an
here.
on-topic buzzer. We need an
Yeah.
on-topic buzzer that when someone
So-
realizes we've got off task, beep.
Perez, he said on the radio he was coming in anyway because he could feel a vibration or something didn't feel right with the car, and then the suspension collapsed on the way in. So it may well be he'd had a component failure prior, and then the suspension collapsed on the braking on the way into the pit. Mac has just pointed out it was Norris' gearbox. So, yeah. At this point, we are now watching Leclerc go very sideways. Just 7 minutes in, he had a big moment. I thought he was going to hit the Wall of Champions. Somehow he kept it out of the Wall of Champions. And then we turn our attention because most other things have settled down at this point with 6 retirements in this race. I'd been watching on the timing tree Hamilton catching Verstappen. So at this point they're lying second and third.
Yep.
And we're watching Hamilton just slowly catch up to Verstappen. And then he came along, sat behind Verstappen for quite a number of laps, and then finally managed to get past him into turn 2. And then, to be fair, Verstappen then kept him honest for the remainder of the race. He was on him. He was like, "You're not walking away with this. It's not that simple."
I remember seeing a clip of an interview that Lewis did that weekend of like how he wants his mum more races, and how obviously Canada is always one of the ones that she tries to get out to, blah blah blah. And then I saw a post afterwards. Maybe Lewis's mum should come to more races because it seems when she's there,
he does well.
He does really well.
I think it also helped that Lewis always goes well at Canada.
Yeah.
So
His first win was there.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
We are still live, Jeremy.
Yeah, we're still
we
here.
are still live.
We've had a lot of
is that
tangents
Jeremy
today.
from the?
This is even funnier because I was streaming before this happened as well.
Is that Jeremy from the server, Jeremy?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, Jeremy.
So, Antonelli won, followed by Hamilton and Verstappen.
I nearly said didn't Max finish second, but
Yeah,
I
it
know
wasn't
he
meant to be.
didn't.
So
No.
let's move on. Well, let's have a quick look at our Fantasy F1 League.
Am I bottom of it? I bet.
You are not bottom. So
I'm stick. I don't. Is it still all Red Bull
I'll tell you in a
racing
minute.
balls?
So at the top, we've still got Nick. He's got a lead of about 300 points at this point. So I get the impression nobody's catching Nick without a catastrophic failure of some description. We've got Mac in second, and then I have leapt up to third place. I played my limitless token or chip, so you can pick.
Ooh.
There's no cost cap. Unfortunately, I did pick both McLarens and McLaren as a constructor, so yeah, that kind of backfired. I also had Russell, so
No.
yeah. As much as I did get a good points haul, it could have been better. Lucy, you are now 10th. You had a good
climbing.
weekend. Yeah, you had a good weekend this weekend.
We're climbing.
You're climbing up to 10th. And then, Tom, you are down at 17th out of 19. Lindblad really hurt you this weekend.
Yeah, of
Double
course he
point.
did.
Double
the thing
points on
is,
Verstappen, though.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not changing it. I probably should,
Well,
but
Standing on business.
there's no
I'm
set
not-
way to play this. So
Mm.
there's no prize. So for our league personally, there's no prizes. There's no bragging. Nobody's going to brag about winning. Nobody cares.
I am.
It's this is meant to be just a bit of fun. So there's people that are going to set their team and forget them, such as you. There are other people in there that are setting and forgetting as well. No, it's not just you. People forget. People have lives. It doesn't matter. But there are a few people that are making changes every weekend. I am trying to remind everybody so that they can make changes if they want
And I'm
to.
the happy middle category of I'll make changes when I get reminded.
Yeah, and you're the one that went in there with Alonso, so you're on the back foot.
Aston Martin.
Yeah. So there's as long as you're having fun, that's all that matters. That's
I'm
all we're
having fun
doing.
doing the last to first challenge.
Yeah. So
You know, I got excited about seeing Ollie Behrman and Esteban eating hot wings on a YouTube video. So
yeah, you're
you
having
know.
fun. Yeah, you're definitely having fun.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, my opinion on Esteban's changing massively because I won't say that bit, but I've never been a massive fan of any French driver bar Pierre Gasly. Ask Lucy; she knows what me and Imka were like when he won at Monza.
yeah.
We,
Well,
you know,
That was a good day.
this was obviously
I think
this was obviously in the server before, but I think if anyone deserves a shot at a big team that isn't Red Bull, it's him. You know, chuck him in a Mercedes or a Ferrari.
I'm
I
not
know it
sure.
will never happen.
I'm not sure he's fast enough.
I agree.
So that judgment is based on the other current drivers.
Yeah.
So you've got to base your opinion on whether he should go into a team on everybody else who's racing at the moment. I think he'd have done well. I think he'd probably win in the right car, but I don't think he's ever going to win a world championship. I think
Not
without
anymore.
the problem is he's been around for a very long time, and you kind of get to a point where you become not past it, but it's almost past your prime.
You're not hot property anymore.
Yeah. So he's going to end his career as a midfield driver. The one outside of that, yeah, Gasly's a good example where he missed his opportunity to get into the Red Bull, and I think he's stuck around with Racing Bulls for far too long before leaving. I think he could have done well if he'd left earlier. If he'd left as soon as he'd been kicked out of Red Bull, or even before then, to be honest.
I think Lucy will get what I'm gonna say here, but I think Alex Albon was the same.
Yeah.
Him? But I think when he won in Abu Dhabi, jeez, I'm trying to remember. Was it 29? No.
I'm hot again.
Yeah. Well, we're
I'll leave it be because I know everyone's.
Let's wrap
hot.
this one up. Let's continue this discussion in the server.
I do want to say though, the racing this weekend has been the best it's been all year.
Yes.
We have to acknowledge that a lot of the overtaking and everything that's been happening prior to this weekend has been very, very artificial. I think
boring.
To a point where it was boring. It's like the first race, it was like, great, yes, we're back, overtaking every 5 seconds, and then when they start talking about batteries and everything, you're like, okay, yeah, no, maybe not. But this weekend, other than the fact that the overtake seemed reminiscent of DRS,
Yeah.
we've not talked about batteries and recharge and all of that stuff all weekend. It's gone. So I think there's a lot. I think they've made a step in the right direction to making Formula One great again. I hate that phrase.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult because, like, Lucy knows I'm a big Formula E fan. Jaguar will always have my heart in that front. Yeah. I just think, with what Max said about, like, F1's going down that road, I couldn't help but agree with him. But then, like I said before, we were talking about contracts and stuff. I think this year's going to be a very interesting one for him because obviously GP's going next year. He literally has no ties left to Red Bull anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing that's keeping him there
is himself.
Is precisely, Dad, I don't think has ever wanted him there. The
problem Formula One as a whole has got is they cannot go fully electric because Formula E exists. So no matter what, they can't go full electric, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I genuinely think they should have gone down either the hydrogen route, or I think
Yeah.
what would have been better is the fully synthetic fuel route.
Mm.
You can still run whatever, and you
Agreed.
can run ridiculous V12s as long as you use synthetic fuel that's
Yeah.
produced in a carbon neutral way. You can still race with petrol engines. Vettel proved this. I can't remember what year it was. Goodwood Festival of Speed. It was either 23 or 22, something like that. He ran Nigel Mansell's old Renault up the hill.
It was the Williams.
No, it was a Williams. Yeah, you're right. It was a Williams.
Yeah, he owned,
Up the
'cause
hill.
He owns said Williams car.
Yeah. On fully synthetic fuel with zero modifications to the car. All he did was put synthetic fuel in the tank and sent it up the hill, and it ran flawlessly. So as long as we can produce fuel in a carbon neutral way, we can just use synthetic fuel. I don't know why they aren't looking at that. So
It was 2023 did it. He returned to the hill climbing his ex-Mansell Williams and Senna's 93 McLaren.
yeah, that was the
running
year.
both classic racing races exclusively on sustainable e-fuel.
Yeah, that was the year
If
before my first year at Festival of Speed. Yeah.
I've always said I'd much rather do Revival over the Festival of Speed.
Yeah, Jeremy's just pointed out as well. He did. He ran it at Silverstone in 2022 as well. So I genuinely think that should have been the direction Formula One went. That by all means use the hybrid technology. There's time and a place for that, but I think they should run it on fully synthetic fuel as well. But that's by the by. Let's wrap this up because we've been at this for a while and everybody is melting. All the viewers are melting. Everything's melting. So next race is Monaco. We are
on my birthday.
2 weeks away. When it comes around to it, everybody wish Tom a happy birthday in Lucy's server.
Yay.
Do it on Sunday because that's when my birthday is. Race day's also my birthday.
Nice. So hopefully we're in for a good race. I am hopeful that the smaller cars. I'm hoping the smaller cars are going to give us some good racing. Monaco historically has been a parade for the rich. Formula E have very much proven that you can race at Monaco. You just need a smaller car.
And we do have slightly smaller cars this year.
So I'm quietly hopeful, but also it's Monaco. Let's be real. It's Formula One. So
there we go.
Yeah, we look forward to that. I want to thank Tom for being with us this week. And bearing with the heat because it's ridiculous in the UK at the moment. But hopefully, in a couple of weeks we'll be back to normal and we will be back for Monaco.
You have been Last Lap Lucy. You have been Matt. You have been Tom. And you, the viewer, have been very appreciated.